Hello, Barendipitous here with another video for the board game shelf. This time looking at Watergate, and yes, it is referring to the Watergate scandal from uh, like the Watergate building and all of that stuff, right? So this is another kind of thrift store game. You can like it's really you can see it's really beat up back here. It's like the bottom of this box is falling apart. But thankfully, as far as I can tell, all the pieces are here and it's otherwise quite intact. Um, but yeah, Watergate. Essentially, this is specifically a two-player game in which one person plays the Nixon administration and the other player plays I think it was the Washington Post reporters that are trying to uncover the scandal, essentially. And so you sit on opposite sides. I'll go ahead and turn it around like this. It's an asymmetric game, meaning that you kind of, well, I guess I don't know if asymmetric is quite the right term, but each side has different goals, right? You have this sort of like red thread conspiracy theory board, and essentially, and on the outside you have these different informants, these different, and so the person playing the journalist is trying to make connections that lead these various sources to Richard Nixon, whereas the Nixon administration is trying to block the connections, essentially. So you're very much going against each other here, and then you have this track that kind of shows I think maybe who's in the lead. I have not played this game yet, but I've heard a lot of really good things. And since there's only one other person that I most play since I play board games mostly with me and my wife, two-player games are excellent. And also, I also do personally find the Watergate scandal a fascinating piece of history. Okay, so yeah, so you have these tiles that you can place them around here to try to make connections, but then on the opposite side of these, they're basically this symbol these scribble marks show that the Nixon administration is like, crossing these off and like blocking the leads essentially. So yeah, and then there's also various tokens and things like that. And then there's also this cloth bag that has a bunch of these things in it. Oh yeah, and yeah, there's another thing too. Like, so this is like connecting different sources, whereas the other side is scratching it out essentially. So yeah. So truth be told, like I said, I haven't played this game before yet. My wife and I haven't played this yet. I've watched a couple of videos about it, and I've heard really good things about it. That it's a really really solid two-player game, and also I personally am rather fascinated by the Watergate scandal for a couple of different reasons. First of all, I remember back in these cards are really bent. It's fine. I like the fiber finish feeling on this. Okay, it looks like we have two decks, probably one for the journalists and one for the Nixon administration. But yeah, so first of all, I remember like one time so there's a movie called All the President's Men, which is it's an older movie. It's Robert Redford stars in it. Basically, it follows the story of I believe a couple of Washington Post reporters trying to get to the center of the scandal and the obstacles that come in their way and the informants that help them and things like that. I remember watching that in a high school history class, and I was honestly rather fascinated by it. And then also there was a time earlier in my life when I was able to actually visit the Watergate complex. Watergate it's not just one building. It's a complex of buildings that was built back in the, I can't remember if it was 50s or 60s or something like that. But it kind of has that mid-century modern feel. These sort of curving buildings around all around a complex there, a complex with some shops in the middle. And I believe at least one or more of them are like apartments or something like that. But also some are offices. And I actually have been inside one of those buildings before. I think I was able to go. I wasn't able to go to the exact like place that the scandal happened, but I was able to go to like a place in the building that was like a couple floors away from it. So I thought that was kind of cool, just sort of like being in. So I have a slight, I so that's why I'm a bit more interested in like the Watergate scandal and stuff. So we have you have these various cards that kind of like give you like information or tell you to do things or whatever. But another thing I love is that this actually gives you like historical information as well. So there's so of course with these like various like informants like recruit so and so as an informant or things like that, right? Um, and then there's stuff that the card tells you to do, but then below this it gives you some like quotes and some historical thing, and these are like actual. Oh, they here. Yeah, this is the Watergate complex right here, the Watergate building, Watergate buildings, I suppose. But yeah, and these are actual pictures. I think these are actual pictures from like the National Archives or something like that as well. These black and white pictures. Um, but yeah, and then the Nixon administration, of course, with their various cards and things like that. And also this instruction booklet over here. Not only does it tell you how to play the game, I love the way this looks too. Just like this old typewriter kind of style to a. But it also gives like this is all this this is so these pages here. This has nothing to do with the game necessarily. It just gives historical context to each of these different characters. Well, not characters, people, like the real people who were involved in various points. So like the informants, card overview and background information, the informants, the conspirators, and yeah, just a lot of historical background about like what happened and how it happened and everything. And I think that's really cool. I like that a lot. So yeah, so the game looks really neat. Looks like the game is designed very well for like a two-player an adversarial two-player game. Um, but yeah, just kind of I always appreciate it when a game like is able to effectively get you interested in learning something about whether it be about history or about other topics and things like that. So yeah, I do look forward to playing Watergate sometime with my wife in the future. But for now, I am very happy to have this and just not just have a game that kind of helps you learn more about this significant event in American history, but also just a solid two-player game in general. Um, I guess also as a final note, I realize it is possible that there may be some viewers who are not familiar enough with American history to know what happened at Watergate, why it's so significant. It is a smaller event in American history compared to other things, but essentially what if in the grand scheme of things, globally anyway. But essentially, what happened is Watergate was a place where the offices of a political party used to be, and Richard Nixon, when he was the president, he basically there's this conspiracy to essentially break into those offices and you know like the espionage, stealing information from the opposing party and things like that. And there was just a lot of like erasing information, obfuscating the truth, and it was crazy. It was wild. um, but yeah. Also, I believe Watergate was so significant because it kind of was at a very important time in history when, like, after the 1950s, a bunch of things kind of started happening in a row in like the 1960s and 70s and 80s that led the American people to trust the government a lot less. Vietnam War was definitely a factor in that. Watergate was a big factor in that, and so on and so forth. So anyway, if you're interested, of course, you can look it up, the Watergate. And actually, if you've ever heard of things like Gamergate or Pizzagate or anything Gate, this is why. Like the gate part of it, like again, Watergate is just it's just the name of it's just a name of a complex of like a group of buildings. But because that location has been associated with such a like a political scandal, and now people in the news, and like it's become commonplace to hear the suffix gate, like something gate, and have like just putting gate at the end means that you consider it a scandal of some kind. So anyway, pretty cool. In retrospect, lots of fascinating things about this moment in history, and I appreciate there's a really solid game made out of it. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, all the best.